Are you a Democrat who only blames algorithms and Andrew Tate when trying to understand the horrifying right-wing radicalization of many young men in America today? If so, this video is for you, and please stick with me because I am on your side. We want the same things. But although I will acknowledge that the last step in the radicalization process for these young men is exposure to these terrible videos pumped to them by algorithms from cynical, irresponsible social media companies, and some young men see these videos in such a volume from such a young age that there's really no way to save them. I think for at least some of these young men, we have to consider what is priming them to be vulnerable to this messaging in the first place, and that gets into economics, because young men aren't stupid. They understand that their economic outlook is the bleakest in living memory. They understand that there was a time when people who are currently alive today could work at a gas station, support a family of 4, buy a house, buy a car, go on vacation, retire. Now, they are lucky today if young people will be able to even move out of their parents' house, let alone the American dream, right? So young men and young women, young people, are aware of the fact that they are getting screwed, that they have been screwed, they are being screwed, they will be screwed in the future. And now let's look at how the right and the left message that, right? Look at Kamala Harris's campaign. Kamala Harris said, I'm a small business, I'm from a long line of small businesses, I love my fellow small businesses, and we are going to create an opportunity economy with public-private partnerships, and the economy has been so great under Joe Biden, who's so great, and we're going to make it even better. And then on the right, although they're only speaking to young men and leaving young women out of it, they are speaking to at least half of the young population saying, hey, you are being screwed. You are being robbed of the life and the world that you deserve. And it is not okay. And that's true. And now they have opened the door to having these vulnerable young men hear their explanation, because they have acknowledged the reality that the young men are perceiving, are feeling, are experiencing. Then they say, hey, you know how way back when you could support yourself and your family and buy a car and a house and retire and go on vacations with like some little job at a gas station or something? You know what wasn't the case back then? There weren't women working in the workplace. There weren't all of these brown people and all these immigrants. That's the problem. And obviously that's not the problem, right? Correlation is not causation. Just because we have a worse economic outlook for young people now and women are more respected and we have more immigrants and diversity does not mean that the respect of women and diversity has anything to do with it, right? We also no longer put lead in our gasoline, and we've been to the moon several times, right? We don't say, hey, let's start putting lead back in the gasoline and no more going to the moon, right? That's ridiculous. Correlation is not causation. But if you are a vulnerable young person who doesn't know any better, and at least these people are acknowledging what you feel, you're going to listen to them and you're going to accept what they say the problem is and what they say the solution is. So if instead of this ridiculous messaging from the Democratic Party, if Kamala Harris said, hey, rich people, corporations, thanks for all the support over the years, thanks for all the money, we appreciate it, but unfortunately, you are screwing over everyone, and particularly young people. And that includes young men and that includes young women. Young people are being absolutely screwed over by this world that has been built by and for corporations and rich people. And we're going to put an end to it. If you have a bunch of wealth, we're going to tax it. If you have a really high rent, we're going to cap it. If you want to live in public housing, that's no longer Section 8 for the most vulnerable people in society. We should have public housing available to anybody that wants it, the same way that they have that in other countries, and it will be good and it will be affordable and people will want to live there, and we're going to make college blah 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 blah, right? Like if you actually speak to the way that corporations and the rich and powerful are directly enemies of regular people and directly antagonizing regular people, you can open the door for people who feel this real thing that you are not able to acknowledge with this like corporation friendly, rich people friendly weird messaging. But they can't change their messaging because they are beholden to their corporate donors, right? The messaging is downstream from the policy.